Hi everyone, I'm MadsDiamond. If you're new here, I'm glad you've come to watch this video, and if you are someone that has been subscribed since 6 years ago, thank you. I made YouTube videos 6 years ago, probably up to 7 years ago, and I used to just do little vlogs, and I also managed to talk about mental health on my channel. I had 2 videos where I was talking about mental health, and it's so interesting watching them now because it's 6-7 years on, and it's like very hopeful to see my improvement. So in these videos I remember being so full of anxiety. I had the worst panic attacks constantly during university. So my overall anxiety started when I was around 15, and this started from a feeling of like I was about to faint. So what I didn't realise at the time, it was my first ever panic attack. If you don't know what a panic attack is, panic attacks basically feel a million different things. I think it's quite different for different people. But for me, mine started as feeling like I wanted to faint or throw up. And then over time, over years of having anxiety, the symptoms kind of went all over my body. I'd have the worst stomach aches, I would have pains in my legs, in my arms, honestly, anything. My mind always went to the worst case scenario. So a simple stomach ache would be like, my appendix is about to burst, and it would only take like a friend having her own appendix out for me to be like, if it can happen to her, it will happen to me. So anxiety really took over my life, and I would say it grew into health anxiety. And you might have those friends that, or family members that always kind of say like, oh, I'm ill over this, and you kind of joke like, oh, such a hypochondriac. That was kind of the running joke in my family. I was a hypochondriac, and at the time it would always annoy me because I'd be like, no, I am really dying right now. Looking back I can laugh, but at the time you are crying about this stuff. But I'm really happy to be able to come on and make this video now and give an update, because I kind of left everyone hanging 6 years ago, or 5 years ago was my last video, where I talked about the starting antidepressants. I'm still on antidepressants. I'm on an antidepressant called Sertraline. It's literally just part of my daily routine now to take it. I take it every morning. I feel like I can talk from a place now of quite separateness. I'm quite confident about everything, but during the time I was really going through all of this, I felt so much shame about it. I was embarrassed. And now 2020, we're literally being told to be worried. You know, we have COVID now, and this is such a life-changing thing for the whole, honestly, the whole world. The mental state I was in back 5 years ago, honestly, I do not know how she would handle this, because I would probably be at the hospital every week saying I've got COVID and I need help because I'm about to die. That is how kind of intense the feelings are when you go through them. And to a lot of people you'll be like, oh, she's just so dramatic, but I don't think you realise how many people actually go through this and don't talk about it. That's one of the things. If you don't talk about it, it becomes so much more and more taboo to you and to everyone else around you. And I didn't really want it to kind of define me, so I didn't talk about it too much. I didn't want it to be known as like, oh, Maddie's just that anxious girl. Once you kind of surrender to the power that it has over you, you then become more powerful than it. And don't get me wrong, Sertraline and antidepressants help so much. Even if it's a placebo, what it did changed my life, and I might not be where I am today if I hadn't taken it. So I'm not saying it's the route for everyone. I said this like 6 years ago, but I'm not saying it's the route for everyone. Some people can take therapy, have CBT therapy, and you can change the way you think. And therapy is something I still have now when I can afford it. It is costly, but I would honestly recommend every single person in the world to have therapy, because we all have stuff that we've gone through or that we're going through that needs to be said out loud. So now that I don't have like debilitating panic attacks, sometimes I will feel like it coming on, the urge. So I'm now a DJ, guys. This is so random. Looking back, I'm like, I was just a student there, but now I'm a DJ. And I live in London, which was always such a thing where I was like, I could never live in London because it's all too crazy there. Like, too busy. I'm from the Isle of Wight. I need the calm, but you get used to it. You know, I used to hate like crowds, and I'd hate being on a train, a tube. Oh my God, why would I want to go on a tube? That makes me want to die. But it's fine. You honestly get used to it. And it's not like I changed my perspective on it. It was the chemical imbalance. Like, I feel like my chemicals just fucking gave me a day off. They just said, do you know what? We're gonna relax. I don't think my purpose is to talk about mental health. I don't think, you know, I don't think I'm gonna go and have a job on mental illnesses and stuff like that. I'm not qualified. But when you've experienced something, it makes it easier to talk about and it's more relatable. So I'm all ears. When I posted on Instagram recently about health anxiety in particular, and I had some people come and message, because anxiety, particularly social anxiety, is something that people talk about quite a lot now. Our generation are quite socially anxious, and I don't know if that's because of we have a real lack of community. Someone sent me a video, I think my sister sent me a video on community, and how particularly in the Western society, we're all quite separate. We don't all live in big families. We all kind of like leave our homes, go to the big cities to try and find jobs, and then you set up on your own. I'm here in London on my own with some housemates, but you don't have those people to turn to like you might if you were growing up and living in these big communities. Especially with COVID as well, I think everyone will feel a sense of loneliness. I definitely have been feeling lonely, and the idea of enjoying your own company is something I think is quite interesting. Recently, I've been thinking, like, when you choose to be on your own, it's a nice feeling, but when you have the choice or you have the desire to be around people, and maybe they're busy or they just they have their boundaries, they want to spend some time alone themselves, you can go inside yourself and start feeling a bit kind of, it makes you then question, you know, like your not your desirability, but it makes you question, why do you need to be around someone? Whilst I wouldn't say my whole kind of existence is to talk about mental health, I would say it's something I was definitely put on the earth to be talking about, because there are people now are experiencing what I experienced 6 years ago when I was crying, calling the hospital, calling ambulances. I had so many funny stories, thinking I was having panic attack, thinking I was having heart attacks. I once made my mum drive me to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack. Ended up at hospital, they were like, you're 18, you're okay. Went to France, thought my appendix was bursting, had to be flown home early. Got home, I was like, I'm safe now. The stuff, I can look back and laugh now, but oh yeah, when I started antidepressants, they obviously were making a change in my body, and I could not sleep for 2 days. I had like insomnia. I'd never had insomnia before, but I remember just being like, I'm so tired and I can't close my eyes. I cannot close my eyes. I just want to go to sleep, but I can't. And then my body was like tingling. My whole body was tingling, and I was like, Mom! It's like a funny joke in my family now, because I remember shouting. Whenever I'd be ill, I'd shout to my mum like, Mom! And my sister would obviously be like, oh no, someone's ill. And I remember her being like, stop shouting, Mum! And I was like, no, but it's serious, call the ambulance. And they were like, we're not calling the ambulance, come on, we've gone through this, you're fine. And my body wasn't fine, like I didn't feel fine. So the ambulance came, By the time they came, my adrenaline and my panic attack had obviously kind of passed through, and I was like, and they said, "You're okay." And I was like, in my head, something clicked, and I was like, that professional has just reassured me, so I'm okay until 2 days. In 2 days where I'll probably have another panic attack. Even after trying CBT, I remember just being like, I can't even get to the CBT. I'm having panic attacks on the way to the CBT. I can't even get there. So once I took the antidepressants, they did help me, and it's not like an easy ride though. I remember trying other antidepressants before then, and I literally felt like I'd been hit by a frying pan and someone had like brought me back from the dead. This one antidepressant, I can't even remember what it's called, but I remember having it and then just being on the beach the day after and just literally feeling like an empty shell and just being like, what the fuck is my life? Like, am I alive? And then it kind of wore off. I was like, I can't take antidepressants. I hear so many people, and I used to say, I'm scared of taking antidepressants because I'm scared of what they'll do to me. And it's like, well, hopefully they'll do something. But you're scared that it will kill, like, I don't know what we're scared of. We're scared that there'll be side effects, and there are side effects, but it's like, what do you want for the rest of your life? You want to feel like how you feel now, or do you want to feel temporary uncomfortableness? Yeah, this was kind of just an introductory video back to my YouTube, because I have so much time now. I mean, I feel like I always have time, unless when I'm working full time, then I'm like overwhelmed and I have no time. But right now I am a DJ, which is weird in this current world state right now. I'm a DJ for Nike, which I'm so grateful for. You know, when I moved to London, I saw Nike, I went in there, I saw a girl playing, and I was like, what a fucking boss. And I just was like, that is what I want to do. So I started writing my goals down, looking at manifestation. Obviously, it's not just like I sat there and was like, I'm gonna be a DJ. I DJ'd for like a year and would just post videos on Instagram, and then eventually I kind of pestered until they let me DJ there. And over a year on, I'm still there, and it's honestly amazing. I'm so grateful that there's literally a pandemic right now and I still get to DJ there, because if I wasn't DJing there, I'd probably be DJing nowhere else, because there's just no gigs, there's no nightlife. And I now feel such a, I wouldn't say, you know, there's people that are empaths and they feel other people's emotions a lot. I would say that I find it quite hard. I don't find it hard, but I'm not like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, oh shit, you're right. But I'm not like, oh my God, I'm really feeling your emotions. But right now I feel a lot of worry for other people, because I know what it's like to experience mental illness and anxiety and just the worst case scenario in your head often. So I just feel like so much worry for other people who've had their jobs taken away from them, even people that are working from home. Not everyone is built to work from home. Some people thrive off going to offices and being around people. So especially men as well, men are notoriously known for not talking about mental health. So if you're a guy and you are watching this and are like, I'm experiencing similar stuff, then please drop me a message. I would love to talk and honestly just make you feel a bit more at ease, because no one has to suffer alone. This is where that sense of community is important. We might not have that sense of community if, you know, you're grafting, trying to make it in London, you might be living on your own. But the amazing thing about social media is you can build a community, and it might be online, you might meet up one day, but for now that's quite powerful that we can do that. Just finishing up, I wanted to say, I think mental health is so much more spoken about these days than even it was probably 5 years ago. But there's so much depth to mental health. It's not just anxiety, it's not just depression. People have OCD, intrusive thoughts, you know, there's so many different things. I met a guy recently, I was at the doctor's like a year or two ago. I heard this guy go up to the counter and say, he was like, I'm having really horrible thoughts at the moment and I don't really know what to do. And the lady at the counter was like, well, we can't really do anything here, but here's a leaflet. And he sounded so low and desperate. I just felt that I knew I wanted to go and needed to go and speak to him. And I went outside, and as he was leaving, I was like, hi, are you okay? And he was basically saying how he'd been having this thought in his head that was like not his own. And it was kind of like telling him he needed to do this and do that. And it was making he was so fearful of it. It was like just making him want to kill himself. And I took his number, and I think we messaged for a little bit, and I was just like keeping up with him and making sure he was okay. I sent him some links, but it's just scary to think that you can go somewhere and ask for help and then kind of be given like the very least help ever. Especially right now, we need to look after each other. We need to do what we can to keep the best mentality possible. It's so hard, honestly. I just sat here today. It's now 6 p.m. I sat in my bed until 5 p.m. thinking, I'm so like bored and sad. I'm like, I gotta get up, put some makeup on, and just do something. Have intention with my life, because otherwise, what is life, honestly? So whilst I'm on this journey of self-love, and I even recently have started talking about Buddhism and learning about Buddhism, which is kind of crazy to me. I grew up pretty much as an atheist. My family were like, we're not religious. And then I had some real bad self-esteem issues all my life, but recently this year it was just like, come on, what are you doing? Why is your self-esteem? You're a bad B, and your self-esteem is -D, or like it's not good. And it's in relationships particularly, I just lose all sense of my worth, and it's just dead. So it got to the point where it was like, you're unbearable, and I felt unbearable. And my mum said to me, well, my friend does Buddhism, why don't you have a look into it? And I was like, at this point, honestly, I'll do anything. So that is where I've learned the sense of community as well. There are people that practice this, they do some chanting. I literally have been doing it for like 2 months. But I think we all have to look higher than ourselves, because you can see from right now, when everyone's questioning what is life, and I think once you've reached a very, very low point, then you understand why people have faith. I think some of the most privileged people have the privilege of not needing faith because it has never got to that point for them. But then also there are people that have done a lot of research and just kind of like scientifically don't really have any intention to look at faith. But anyway, whole different subject. But maybe these are topics that I will continue to talk about, because I just think it will help me and maybe help other people. So I would like to improve my own sense of self-esteem and confidence, and just, I don't even know what the other words are, but things that I would have liked to have earlier. I'm going to continue to explore, and we'll maybe document it. If you have any kind of topics that you want me to discuss or to learn more about and then share with you guys, let me know. I'm up for talking about pretty much anything, because why not? And I just want to say thank you for watching, and you can follow me on Instagram, it's DJ MadsDiamond. I'm on TikTok, DJ MadsDiamond. I'm also a graphic designer and website designer, and do social media management and branding. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to leave a comment, subscribe and like.